So you decided to quit, you gave it a shot, it was really hard, it didn't go well, and you did some cussing. So in this video, I'm going to give you 3 steps that are going to make this process a whole lot easier and allow you to really quit smoking for good. You don't want to miss this.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
So the first important factor is that you're really going to have to want to quit smoking. You're going to have a reason. And there's lots of reasons. Smoking is not great. We know all that. But when you look into the actual effects that it has on the body, it can be a little bit, oh wow, I really should stop doing that. That's not a great program to have going on. So if you have your reason to quit, it's going to be important because this is not going to be magic. Quitting smoking is difficult, and it's difficult for a reason. The nicotine is very addictive. There's lots of proof out there to show that that is a factual situation. And especially around that 3rd day of when you quit, that's when that nicotine withdrawal issues really seem to maximize. And so what we want to do is put everything in our favor to make that easier. So we need to understand a few physiological things that go on in the body so that we can put everything into our favor to make this an easier process, so we're not yelling at the mailman because we don't like the shorts that he's wearing by the time we snap and go through all these withdrawal type symptoms. So one thing that we're really going to have to look into a little bit is your blood pressure. And this is going to vary greatly from person to person. And depending where you are with this can really dictate the steps that are going to be important for you to help you get through this a lot easier. So when we look at our blood pressure, we need to understand that what we're seeing there is the level of minerals in the system. Now it shows us also glucose and protein and other filth and junk that's in this system as well. But a big part of what makes up that blood pressure is the level of minerals in the system, and whether the body has the ability to get rid of those and pee out things and get rid of junk and all that kind of stuff. That can really dictate where our blood pressure is. And whether it's low or high is going to be important for you to look at. So if you don't have a blood pressure cuff, you can pick one up at a pharmacy for $30 or $40. You just get one of those little push button ones that takes it automatically. It's very easy to look at. And what you want to look at is you just want to take your resting blood pressure, but not first thing in the morning. It should be about 2 hours after you've had a meal, but not fasted in the morning. It should be after a meal. And you want to look at that top number, or the systolic number. And if that number is below 112, that's an indication that minerals are low in the system. And this also means that it's likely going to be a little bit more difficult when that blood pressure is on the lower side to quit this smoking. So we look at this smoking like, oh, I'm just addicted to the nicotine and that's kind of what's going on. But there's a lot more factors that can go into it. We need to look at the fact that, wow, when I quit smoking, I gained 45 pounds. What was that all about? It's very common to see people gain a lot of weight when they quit smoking. So we need to understand that there are a lot of symptoms that can come about when blood pressure goes too low. And I'm going to put some links to some studies in the description below this video that show us that blood pressure tends to go higher the longer that we smoke. It depends on it seems like every year that you smoke, your systolic number tends to go up a little bit in general. This is what these studies show. This is not going to happen for everybody for a variety of reasons. But when we're looking at this blood pressure, we need to understand that if we're smoking, that blood pressure can be a little bit misleading. Because remember, it's not just the minerals, it's also sugar and also maybe proteins a little bit and filth and junk that is in the system that the body is not able to remove. And we know that smoking brings in all these chemicals and the tar and all this junk that comes in when we're smoking this stuff. And it comes in and thickens up that blood and has the ability to raise our blood pressure. So the more stuff that's in that blood to thicken it up raises the pressure needed to push that blood through the system. If you were pushing red wine through your system, it would be a lot easier than if you were pushing pancake syrup. So when we think about this high blood pressure, a lot of times we're looking at a thicker blood that has more stuff in it. So if a person is a type 2 diabetic and their blood sugar is high, or maybe a person is just leaning on that insulin resistant side and their blood sugar is a little bit higher, or maybe they're just eating a lot of carbohydrates and junk and processed food that can raise that blood sugar, that higher blood sugar has the ability to thicken that blood and raise our blood pressure. But what we see when blood pressure is going lower or when minerals in the system are going lower, we see a lot of symptoms like cravings, and cravings can be out of control. And these clients that come to us with really bad cravings often have low blood pressure, and when we help them correct that, all of a sudden the body is not screaming for this junk to come in to thicken up that blood so that the body can function the way that it wants to function. When there's not enough stuff in there, not only is the body having low resources, but it can restrict the ability to send signals from the body to the brain and from the brain back to the body. The body likes to send these signals through the minerals. So when someone has low minerals, often dictated by seeing that low blood pressure number, the cravings are going to be greatly magnified. And then this person is going to quit smoking, and the smoking not only removes all this filth and junk that was coming in, that was thickening up the blood, but it appears that smoking has the ability to constrict the vascular system, and when it constricts that vascular system, it's basically closing that off, which means more pressure is needed to push the blood through the system. So that can raise the blood pressure and help that person feel a little bit better. Because if blood pressure goes really low, there's a lot of symptoms that can come on with that, even beyond cravings, things like depression and bipolar issues, and it can even create things like insomnia and a lot of other problems that can come from blood pressure going too low. So a lot of people who are really stuck smoking have a naturally low blood pressure, and the smoking is doing a lot more than just giving them the nicotine. It's helping raise that blood pressure and helping them function a little bit better as a human being. That doesn't mean the smoking is good for them, but it does help us understand why it can be so difficult for them to quit. But when we're looking at this misleading issue with the blood pressure, if your blood pressure is in a good range, maybe it's 125/80 or something like that, and you're a smoker, you need to keep in mind that some of that is the filth and junk that is coming in from the smoking. So your actual blood pressure may actually be lower than that, indicating that there are not enough minerals in the system. If your blood sugar is higher, that's another sign. There might not be enough minerals even though your blood pressure is in a good range. And another thing to consider is if someone's really smoking a lot, I'm done with this one, I'm going to light this one up. I'm done with this one, I'm going to light it up. That can really raise blood pressure just because of the level of toxins that are coming into the system. So a person could see high blood pressure and be like, oh man, doing these steps is really not going to help me. The reality is some of them could help you. You just might have to restrict some of the steps that you can take, and we'll talk about that in a second. So the reasons that someone's minerals may be low in the system is they may be peeing out too many minerals, and that can bring that kind of low. And one thing that you can look at is you can look at your urine pH with some urine pH testing strips that you can get on Amazon or a health food store. And if your urine pH is like 6.3 or higher, then that can be an indication that a person might be peeing out too many minerals. It's not diagnostic or anything, but it's just an indication that that might be a problem for you. If a person's on a really low carb diet or maybe a zero carb diet, like a carnivore situation, that can also cause someone to pee out a lot more minerals. And that doesn't mean that those diets are bad and that you shouldn't do those diets, but if someone has really low mineral levels, they may need to take steps to correct that before a carnivore diet could be as beneficial as it is for some other people. But these are some things that can cause these mineral levels to go low, and the biggest one is probably some malfunctions with the digestive system. So we look at this, and when we eat food, our stomach is supposed to make this stomach acid that helps us acidify that food and really start breaking it down. And then when those acids leave the stomach, this gallbladder is supposed to squirt this alkaline bile down that helps neutralize those acids. And when those two opposite pHs collide, it creates this sizzle that really helps us bust the food apart and get all the minerals and nutrients out of that food. So it's very common for someone not to be making enough stomach acid, and it's also very common for someone's bile to become too thick and sticky to flow correctly, so it won't come down to help neutralize those acids. So if either of these systems is not working correctly, then the person is really not digesting their food the way that they should, and they're not getting all the minerals and nutrients out of that food. So then the minerals in the system will go low, and the body's really going to crave anything that can come in and thicken up that blood and raise that blood pressure and allow, the body can send signals through these toxins and other junk when there's not enough minerals. So it can use other things to replace that, And it kind of makes the cravings and the ability to quit that much more difficult for that person. So if you're dealing with any digestive symptoms at all, anything like burping or bloating or acid reflux or constipation or diarrhea or nausea, or maybe food just kind of feels like it sits there like a rock in your stomach for 6 hours, or even acne or skin issues, all of these are signs that the digestive process is not working correctly, and either one or both of these sides of digestion are not working correctly. So you could take steps to correct those issues, and then by having the ability to pull more nutrients and minerals out of your food, it's going to make the quitting process a whole lot easier. So you could take steps to correct these if these are problems for you, even while you're still smoking. You don't have to quit smoking to improve these issues. And my book, Kick Your Fat in the Nuts, chapters 3 and 4, kind of walks you through figuring out, are there aspects of digestion that are not working correctly? And if so, what steps can help you improve those issues? And the book is available on Amazon, but I'll put a link in the description below so you can get the whole thing totally for free, and then you can just jump to chapters 3 and 4 that'll help you walk through that process if you feel like that might be a problem for you. So that can be important to put yourself in a position to give your body the minerals that it needs to function correctly, so when you start reducing all these toxins and other things that can thicken up the blood and raise the blood pressure, that the body doesn't freak out. Some people feel like the act of smoking has the ability to push a person into the parasympathetic side of their autonomic nervous system, which is the rest and digest side. It's a more calming side. A lot of people are stuck in the sympathetic fight or flight stress state, and they really can't calm down, and the smoking has the ability to push them over to that parasympathetic side and calm them down a little bit. So when the body doesn't have enough resources, or the body can't send signals correctly, that can increase the stress that the body is feeling, and then you can feel that stress as well. And it can be even harder to calm down, which makes it another reason why it's so difficult for so many people to quit. So if you can give the body more of the resources that it's looking for in the first place, then it's a little bit easier for it to move into that parasympathetic rest and digest and chill out type state, and not be stuck in that fight or flight state. Now, if your blood pressure is on that lower side down here, then some supplements that might be able to make this a little bit easier for you are some amino acids, L-phenylalanine, L-tyrosine, and L-glutamine. And some of these things are also used in a lot of studies to help people get past withdrawal issues from like drug addictions and things like this. And it does this because all of these things have the ability to raise blood pressure a little bit and supply the body with more resources that it needs for some of these functions to happen. And which one of these is really ideal for you can depend on some body chemistry things. At our cellular level, we kind of have this circadian rhythm in the body where during the day we're supposed to be in a catabolic state where the body's very good at creating energy and keeping us going all day and also breaking down tissues so they can be rebuilt. And then this anabolic state is supposed to happen at night so that we can sleep and rest and rebuild and repair the body the way that we should. And we should really move back and forth from these states from one to the other, day to night. But a lot of people can kind of get stuck in one state or another. And so these supplements that we talked about that can really help lift blood pressure and help person get past withdrawals, some of them have a pro-catabolic effect and some have a pro-anabolic. This glutamine is very pro-anabolic. So if a person is already stuck in one of these states and it's creating other symptoms for them, then using one of these supplements could magnify that problem that they're already having and magnify some of the symptoms that are coming from that. And I show you how to run some simple self-tests at home with tools you can pick up like at a pharmacy or a health food store to get an idea if you're leaning too far on one of those sides, and that might help you figure out which one of these supplements might be most beneficial for you and make it the easiest for you to be able to quit smoking without as many withdrawal symptoms. But as far as the steps that you want to take to make this easier, if this blood pressure is low, also, using like a good unrefined salt can be really beneficial. Just like a sea salt or some type of unrefined salt, not table salt. You want an unrefined salt that contains more good minerals and a variety of minerals that can be helpful to give the body what it really needs. That can be one beneficial step. You could use some broad-based mineral supplements, maybe some liquid mineral drops that people put in water. Some of those can be beneficial. I'm not going to give you any type of brand or anything, but there's a lot out there to choose from. So some of those steps could help a little bit, but if there's digestive malfunctions, you're going to have to fix those to make this really easy. It's going to be very difficult to get minerals up if you're not really getting the minerals out of the food that you're eating. And if you're peeing out minerals as fast as you're putting them in, that's not going to help out a whole lot either. So you can see that this is going to take some effort to really look at your body chemistry to get an idea of what's going on. But the effort that you put into looking at your chemistry and learning how to work with your body makes the process of this a whole lot easier. And so the work that you put into trying to quit 15 or 30 times a year gets removed because you were willing to put the work in to look at your body chemistry to figure out what's really going on and what's going to be the right step for you and your unique bio-individuality. Because the steps that are going to help one person might not be the steps that are going to help somebody else. You really want to do what's going to work for you and not just what all the cool kids are doing. So we'll put the link to my book that you can get for free below if you want to dig into that and understand these things and figure out what's going to work best for you. But right now, since this lack of stomach acid is a really big starting point for most people when digestive malfunctions come about, you can jump over right now and check out our video for 10 signs of low stomach acid to see if that might be a problem for you and you might need to put some attention into correcting that issue. I can't wait to hear about your results.